So I have this old black ottoman, and it's seen better days. It's pretty rough, and I need to change it. I started with just ripping off the staples that have that little interfacing on the inside, with the help of some scissors too. Don't worry, those are the bad scissors. And I keep ripping everything off, and you just keep ripping it. Might want to wear some gloves for that part, because the staples kind of hurt. You'll need a screwdriver or a Phillips head to get all the little screws out, because the hinge is in the way. You could just cut around it, but I wanted to make my job a little harder, apparently. And get all of them out. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Alright, so now it's all nice and floppy and hard to handle. You finish ripping off all the foam and gross stuff. It's really dusty under there, so make sure you open up the window. So I felt pretty cool doing that. I was sliding the scissors across and it cut it pretty well. Then it stopped on the front end there. But it did that back line real nice and smooth. And that was a real fast, fun cut. And then the foam starts flipping out and falling into tiny pieces and going everywhere, so and it stops being easy. I gotta unscrew some more stuff, unscrew the feet. So after you finish unscrewing those feet and ripping off that bottom piece of fabric, mine was all ripped up, so I didn't bother keeping it. You want to make sure that you have enough of this batting. I got a whole big roll because it was on sale, and it was just the thickest stuff they had. I'm just folding around the edges to make sure it's big enough. Then you're going to get your hot glue gun and just glue it on. You're going to put more layers over the top of it, so it doesn't really matter if it's not too secure. And then you want to cut off all that extra stuff. Make sure you save it though, because there's always a use for that stuff, which actually we will use that later. But just in general, I don't throw anything away. And so I wanted the top to be extra fluffy, like a pillow. So I cut some extra stuff out. And just folded it a couple times. And then put some hot glue between those layers just to help it a little bit sturdy, not slide around too much. Alright, now I want to put all that batting on the sides too. I just got the batting all the way around the outside. I went back and put a double layer on the corners. Just in case your shin hits it in the middle of the night. Because it is actually going back next to a bathroom door. And, you gotta think of these things. So this is the fabric I'm going to use. I just use some cheap fleece because, well, it's cheap. I cut out a long rectangle about the width of your sides. You accidentally make it too small in a bunch of areas, so you have to stretch it really hard and staple, but it's fine. That's what staplers are for. Staple it on the bottom and just on the inside. Doesn't matter if it looks gross because you're going to hide that anyways. And then you just kind of want to fold it around the corners, get a nice little crease. Make sure you stretch it tight as you go. And then I wanted to match up the colors at the end, so I just hot glued it together. And that's really hot, so make sure you get something to press on it other than your fingers, because I burned my hands quite many times. Alright, so finish stapling all the sides on, the back, the front. Extra staples for the stomach spots and to the top. So it's kind of hard to staple around those hinges, but sometimes you're gonna have to hold it upside down. Went around, trimmed off all the extra, added more staples where it was loose, and you see I finally got the nice scissors, so now I can cut super fast. I wanted to put some buttons on it so it looked like all upholstered and cute. So I just measured some holes. I think it was like 4 inches away from each other, or 6 inches from the edge or something. Whatever, do them where it looks good. Drew them on the back, drilled them out with drills. Be careful though, because when you're drilling it through, you don't realize it, but you're tangling up all the cotton on the other side and you're making a big old knot. So, anyways, we're making covered buttons to go over it. You're gonna take some scraps, make a bunch of circles, a little bit bigger than the buttons you want to use. A whole bunch of circles. And then you're going to get that batting that you saved and make kind of littler circles for about the same size as the buttons, because that's going to make it extra poofy. You just do a little back and forth stitch on the outside of the circle, put the batting in, put the button in, make it nice and tight, and you got yourself a covered button. You do that a couple more 100 times, and you got yourself enough buttons for a bench. Okay, so now get all your ingredients. That was dental floss, a big old needle, some chopsticks that were all chopped up, and your buttons. So you're going to find where you made your holes in the back. You're going to try really hard to stick your needle through it. It's going to be the wrong way to go, and you're going to go backwards next time. So you try to thread your needle on your button so to anchor it on. And then you push your needle down through so you can poke it out the hole and pull it through on the other side. No, that's backwards. Tie it onto the stick first. Go in from the wood side and then sew it on the button and tie it real tight. Yeah. Or, whatever way works best for you. Then, because you don't want to forget about that ugly bottom, grab some extra fabric that you had and fold it over the same size and just glue it on. And you might also remember that we have feet that need to go on this too. I forgot, so I didn't cut any holes in the fabric. You're going to want to do that before you glue it on, because it makes it harder to do it after you glue it on. I had to go back and snip some little snips with the scissors, but or else the screw just gets tangled in the fabric. Same thing with these hinges. Because you wanted to take them off and make your life harder, now you gotta cut a hole in the fabric and try to find those screw holes again. And you just put your hinges back on. I don't really know which way would be easier, but I did it the bottom way and then the lid back on first. And the lid was really hard to get on. Especially with that stupid black fabric falling on my face every 2 seconds. But, and there you go. You glue that black fabric down, and it looks like a box again. Ta-da!